I'm getting ready to start. Good morning. Welcome everyone to our school board meeting on this morning. It is so exciting to feel and hear and see the energy in the room. We'll go ahead and call this meeting to order. Do we have any amendments to the agenda?
We have no amendments to the agenda, Madam Chair.
Thank you so much. May I have a motion to adopt the agenda?
Approval. Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? This morning, we will have our invocation by Reverend Richard Landon of Anona United Methodist Church, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance and the National Anthem by St. Petersburg High School, and they will also follow up with a second song. Please stand.
Shall we pray? God, this morning, teachers woke up. And before them, administrators and facility personnel. And before them, maybe the bravest of all, the bus drivers. God, each one of these people woke up for a purpose. And that purpose is to serve the children of Pinellas County. To help them to become not just students, but people of character and integrity. So, Lord, we pause for a moment before this meeting just to give thanks.
Thank you, Lord.
Thanks for each one of those people that are getting up early in order to serve, to answer a calling that you've placed upon them. And God, I would ask that in the midst of this meeting, we'd recognize that that calling is upon each one of us. School board personnel, people that are here to speak. People are all here for the purpose of developing those kids. For all of that, we give thanks and ask for your wisdom and your guidance in the midst of this meeting. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
You may be seated.
You know, we have a lot in common, those of us in this room right here. Students, teachers, administrators, school board. We all are problem solvers. And you'll hear the words of this song that we're going to sing, "The Water is Wide," arranged by Russell Robinson. The first verse especially speaks to that. It says, "The water is wide, I cannot cross o'er." And as you listen to the words, you hear the solution. And you'll understand the concept of the song, and that is, if we have the right tools, spirit of cooperation, then there's nothing that cannot be done. So we present "The Water is Wide."
The water is wide. shall rule, my love and I.
Go read it. Okay.
I lean my back up against an oak. I thought it was a trusty tree, but first its way, and then it broke. And so my false love did unto me. Oh, love is handsome, and love is kind, and love's a jewel when it is new. But love grows old, and waxes cold, and fades away, like morning dew, and fades away, like morning
That was absolutely fabulous. Again, that was the Pitchforks from St. Petersburg High School. There are 16 students. There's a lot of names here, and their choral director, Mr. David Lawhead. So let's give them another round of applause. Next, we'll have our video. We're so proud of our partnership with Sandy Hook Promise. We had a wonderful time putting into practice their Start with Hello program, showing students how to make a difference with their peers in simple, fun, and impactful ways, and encouraging them to take small but powerful actions to connect with their classmates. Let's see how Frontier Elementary celebrated Start with Hello.
Hello Week is where no one feels left out, should feel left out.
We came into school and there was all these police officers and firefighters that were greeting everybody.
Good job today. You guys have a good day, all right?
They were high-fiving you and saying hello and giving you stickers.
It really makes a positive impact on them to know that they're here for them all the time and not just when there's an issue or a crisis.
There you go.
Morning. Have a great day.
Sometimes we get so wrapped up in our own heads and so busy with what we're doing as adults, we forget to greet others. And so making sure that our staff is doing that, greeting others by name, and then the students are seeing that modeled so that they are doing the same thing.
It's important to say hello to other kids because we want them to feel welcomed and safe at our school. We went out to the PE field and we spelled hello with our school. We spelled hello.
Sometimes you feel left out or like you're being picked on and like you feel like you might not ever make friends. And by saying hello makes the person that's left out or being bullied feel like they just made a friend.
Well, we're gonna be wearing green shirts for the Sandy Hook Promise. We're gonna be doing No One Eats Alone in the Cafeteria. And we're gonna wear name tags.
Sometimes saying hello makes another person smile, and like by one person being kind, it makes a lot of more people being kind.
we want to include everybody all the time, and that it's really important to make everyone feel included and greet them every day when they come in and make everyone feel like they're part of something. And for us, being part of Frontier and being a Frontier Panther is really what it's all about.
We didn't get the 3 bops. Boop, boop, boop. I did it. Again, that's our Sandy Hook Promise component piece, and it's taking off, I think, in our district in a fabulous way, and we're really excited about that. We'll have our introduction of our professional and community organization representatives by our very own Lisa M. Wolf, our Public Information Officer.
Madam Chair, members of the board, Dr. Grego and staff, it is my pleasure to introduce the following representatives of community and professional organizations. Representing the Pinellas Classroom Teachers Association, Mike Gandolfo. With the Pinellas County Council of PTAs, Reagan Miller. Representing the Pinellas Arts for a Complete Education Coalition, Ronnie Halesso. And a member of the media in attendance is Megan Reeves of the Tampa Bay Times. Today we will have a presentation from the Student Rights and Responsibilities Committee. Please welcome from St. Petersburg High School, Victor Vong, Claudia Johnson, and Aaron Bonner. Thank you.
Good morning, Pinellas County School Board, and thank you for allowing us the opportunity to present the achievements of our very own St. Petersburg High School, which we are here to represent. My name is Aaron Bonner, and I will be beginning with our academic achievements, followed by Victor Vong with our athletic achievements, and ending with Claudia Johnson outlining our club and community activities. So on the academic side of things, running down the list, we are a B-rated school, but we missed our A rating by only a few points. We have a 94% graduation rate across the board. 63% of all 10th graders pass the state FSA ELA assessment. 77% of students pass the U.S. History end of course exam. 70% of students pass the biology end of course exam. 98% of the 2017 International Baccalaureate senior class earned their IB diplomas. 2 National Merit finalists emerged from that class. 1 National Hispanic Merit finalist. 6 AP Scholars with distinctions. 9 AP Scholars with honors. 32 AP Scholars. 2 AP Capstone diplomas. 8 AP Seminar and Research certificates. And the 2017 senior class earned over $10 million in scholarships, as well as 334 industry certifications, and 137 seniors in the class of 2018 received a Bright Futures scholarship, representing more than 100 hours of volunteer time in the community. Thank you.
Fabulous.
Hello, I'm Victor Vong. St. Petersburg High School boasts an extensive number of student organization and sports teams. The school offers a huge variety of sports such as cross country, track and field, and etc. The St. Petersburg basketball team went to regional finals and went to Lakeland. The girls cross country contended regionals for the first time in over a decade last year, in addition to winning the Mitchell Invitational this year. Many individuals from the swim and dive team qualified for the state meet, and we have multiple Division I students and athletes rose from the football, basketball, and girls volleyball team. 2 years ago, the golf team won PCAC districts, regionals, and qualified for the states.
Hi, School Board. My name is Claudia Johnson, and I will be speaking on behalf of St. Pete High over our extracurricular activities. At St. Pete High School, we have a broad variety of different extracurricular activities that students can participate in to enrich their overall high school experience. We have academic, service, art, and hobby clubs. There are clubs for everyone catered to almost every interest and talent someone could have. Being a part of them allows students to create relationships with like-minded individuals develop talents, and strengthen a positive environment at school. St. Pete High School has academic clubs and honor societies that enrich the students' academics outside of the typical classroom setting. We have honor societies which include French, Spanish, math, science, English, and art. Aside from the honor societies, there are also academic clubs directed more towards helping students discover possible career paths and fields of study for higher education. Some of these clubs include the Robotics Club that creates robots and competes against with other schools, and also the Medical Club that brings in speakers to present about their jobs and organizes hospital visits. Another very important aspect of making a well-rounded citizen is for giving them opportunities to be good citizens in the community. These service clubs do various activities throughout the year like block restorations, fall festivals, charity runs, homeless feedings, and elderly visits. These service clubs help build a positive environment where the student can go out into the community to help others with the support of their peers and build a passion for helping the community at a young age. Through our various art clubs, students are also able to expand their artistic abilities in painting, music, and theater. There's an active art club at St. Pete High where students are able to work in a creative environment to strengthen their technique. We also have a marching band and color guard that competes with other schools to showcase their amazing talent as they go off to compete in many state and out-of-state competitions. Not to mention our school a cappella choir, the Pitchforks, has amazing talent and has sang at many concerts, including Disney. Our theater program also puts on a play during the fall and a musical during the spring, each year with beautiful sets and a marvelous cast. St. Pete High School fosters many clubs to individualize each experience and to ensure a great 4 years for every student. Thank you for listening to the many accomplishments we have at St. Pete High School.
Thank you, students, very much for coming out and sharing your time with us, but also sharing some of the wonderful things that are occurring at one of our most historic high schools in our city, which is St. Petersburg High School. So thank you all so very much. We appreciate you. We have our special order agenda. On that is the recognition of National School Lunch Week. Dr. Grego?
Yes, Madam Chair. As our students leave, I want to share my thanks with your report and also recognize Ms. Lebo, who's the principal of this historic school.
I didn't see her.
And yeah, I know
We
you
didn't.
didn't.
I'm sorry.
That's all right. And say thank you for your leadership and for the students prior to this as you welcomed us with a song to a school board meeting. So thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. The first recognition of special order agenda is recognition of the National School Lunch Week. And it gives me great pleasure to call upon our Director of Food and Nutrition, as we call it now, Ms. Lynn Geis, who's the director. So I see you have your apron on today. So thank you.
It was that or the chef's hat again. So. But Madam Chair, board members, Dr. Grego and staff, it's my honor to be here representing over 1,000 food and nutrition professionals to announce that next week is National School Lunch Week. This is an opportunity for us to showcase our programs and to discuss the benefits of a healthy school meal. This year's theme is Lots to Love, School Lunch. Not only are our lunches healthier than ever, they're filled with whole grains, fresh fruits and vegetables, low-fat milk, there are 0 trans fats, lower sodium, and lower calories overall. But there's so many other aspects to the program that we wanted to share a few of those with you. There is lots to love at our schools. Thanks to the efforts of Miss Tammy Oyette, nutrition educator and our school garden guru. Currently, we have 40 gardens in the schools with 8 planned for expansion this year.
Wow.
48 total. Last year, at this time, we had 14. So she has been a very busy person. Tammy works with principals, teachers, students, plant operators to help plan and prepare the best spot for the garden at the school. They tend the plants while they're growing, and then they reap the fruits and vegetables just at the right time to be included with a school lunch. Tammy and our distribution coordinator, Dale Beaker, also arranged to have fresh from Florida produce in our schools. Last year we had Florida celery, blueberries, strawberries, of course, will be coming up for us again this year. Last month we had star fruit that was grown in Florida. It was a great event. Many of our kids had never even seen star fruit. And it was also a learning program for us because many of our staff had never handled star fruit. So it was a real educational program for us altogether. We appreciate all their efforts to bring fresh fruits and vegetables to our schools. There's also lots to love with the partnership and support that we have with the Pinellas School Nutrition Association. This year, the association prepared and put out a video, informational video about the association and the benefits of being a member. And then they turned around and made membership free to all food and nutrition employees. This is to encourage professional development and participation. The association is a great way to earn and learn leadership skills. Last weekend, many of us went to Kissimmee to the Florida School Nutrition Association's annual conference. And we brought back that information, which we will share with all staff at our mini conference on Monday. So I'd like to recognize the leadership of the Pinellas School Nutrition Association. We have President Sally Nozelski, manager at Plum Elementary, Treasurer Barbara D'Alessandro, computer support analyst at Walter Pinnell, and Tina Russell, treasurer, manager at Lauman Innovation Academy. Yes, there is lots to love in school nutrition. We have healthy meals, student involvement, classroom support, and professional growth opportunities. We're pleased today to share some of our enthusiasm, our dedication, and our pride with these boxed lunches. If you would help, sis, thank you. And of course, they were prepared with lots of love from the team at Largo High School, led by manager Angie Heat. We hope you enjoy them. And if you are out and about next week at a school, please, I invite you to stop into the cafeteria, say hello, and see what wonderful things are happening. Thank you. And this is a standard student meal. There's a turkey bacon wrap, fresh fruit, vegetables with some dip, a low-fat milk, and a cookie. Can't forget the cookie. So thank you very much.
Thank you so very much. We have, following that, the presentation of proclamations recognizing Florida Principals Month. Do we have a motion with a second?
Second.
Dr. Grego, you want to introduce?
Yes, it gives me great pleasure to introduce Mr. Poth, one of the area superintendents, to bring recognition to the service of our principals.
Well, good morning, Madam Chair, distinguished board members, Dr. Grego, and staff. The Florida Association of School Administrators, the National Association of Secondary School Principals, and the National Association of Elementary School Principals have declared the month of October a National Principals Month. In support of the outstanding service and leadership of our principals provided the schools in Florida, Governor Scott proclaimed the month of October as Florida Principals Month. Pinellas County recognizes the importance of principals in leading our schools towards 100% student success. Our principals seek every opportunity to recognize their students, teachers, and staff's accomplishments. Florida Principals Months allow us the opportunity to say thank you to our principals and to share with the community all the great things principals do. A school principal has a daunting task. They must create a learning environment that sparks innovation, and enthusiasm for learning. They must build the culture that values each student and every staff member. Their school is on the principal's mind both before the day begins and long after the day is over for the students. Constantly thinking of how to help students be more successful, how to inspire and support and lead teachers and meet parent expectations. The success of every school and every student depends on effectiveness of the school leader. The key to student success is a great school, and the key to a great school is a great principal. Florida's Principal Month is one way we can promote the importance of the school principalship. Their work is of the highest importance, and they are worthy of honor and recognition for the work they do.
Thank you so very much, and we do have a proclamation to be read by Ms. Terry.
Whereas principals are educational visionaries, instructional and assessment leaders, disciplinarians, community builders, budget analysts, facilities managers, and administrators of legal and contractual obligations. And whereas principals work collaboratively with teachers and parents to develop and implement a clear mission, high curriculum standards, and performance goals. And whereas principals create school environments that facilitate great teaching and learning and continuous school improvement. And whereas the celebration of Florida Principals Month honors elementary, middle, and high school principals and recognizes the importance of principals in ensuring that every child has access to a high-quality education. And whereas the Florida Association of School Administrators, the National Association of Secondary School Principals, and the National Association of Elementary School Principals have declared the month of October 2018 as National Principals Month. Now, therefore, we, the School Board of Pinellas County, do hereby proclaim the month of October 2018 as Florida Principals Month in Pinellas County Schools.
Fabulous. Congratulations. Thank you. And next we have the presentation of proclamation recognizing School Bus Safety Week. Do we have a motion with this? Oh, I'm sorry. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Next we have the presentation of the proclamation recognizing School Bus Safety Week. Do we have a motion with a second? Dr. Grego?
Yes, Madam Chair, and to all school board members and to the public, it gives me great pleasure to call upon Rick McBride, Director of Transportation, to recognize School Bus Safety Week. And this is one of a couple of presentations today, Mr. McBride, so we're happy to have you here.
It's my pleasure to be here. Madam Chair, board members, Dr. Grego, and staff, I come before you this week as an honor to be part of this, where we join all of the states throughout the nation recognizing 1 week in the month of October every year for National School Bus Safety Week. This year it's going to be the week of October 22nd. Our bus drivers, as it was said in the prayer before, are some of the bravest souls that go out every morning to start the school days for most kids. And most of them do start with a smile and a good morning every morning, and that makes the day for the kids. So we transport over 33,000 kids daily to and from school every day and travel about 9 million miles a year as these bus drivers as a collective group. We also perform other extracurricular activities such as field trips. We do over 3,300 field trips in a year. And give you an example of a typical week, last week we had over 206 buses out on the road Monday through Saturday doing field trips, and that's also in conjunction with them going and taking kids to and from school every week and every day. And also with the storm that's in the news right now, a lot of people don't realize it, but our bus drivers are on the front line doing evacuations during storm emergencies. And one instance last year, at one point, we transported over 1,200 nursing home patients to various shelters. And this was all done by the school bus drivers that did this. So it is a great honor to not only to honor them during this week, but also to express the need for the public to be aware of school bus safety in and around the school buses. Basically, Pinellas has been recognized through a recent media report as a success story throughout the Tampa Bay area in comparison to the other school districts. In that 4 out of 5 of the last few years, our record for accidents has been actually decreasing, and we're still on the trend to do that. So basically, that was good news from a positive media report anyway, as far as that goes. So I would like to ask that Pinellas recognize the week of October 22nd as National School Bus Safety Week.
Thank you so much, Mr. McBride. And we have School Board Member Peggy OShea, who's going to read the proclamation.
Excuse me. National School Bus Safety Week. My driver, my safety hero. Whereas the local community is committed to providing a safe, crash-free environment for the public school bus riders in Florida who travel daily on our roadways, and whereas the exemplary safety performance exhibited each day, almost 15,000 school bus operators on the roads of Florida ensures the highest level of safety for other motorists and student riders. And whereas local organizations are encouraged to support student and traffic safety activities associated with National School Bus Safety Week, October 22nd through 26, 2018. And whereas motorists must remember to stop when a school bus has stopped with its stop arms extended and red lights flashing. And whereas during National School Bus Safety Week, everyone is reminded to keep a watchful eye for students going to and from school and to take extra precautions around students and school buses. Now therefore, we, the Pinellas County School Board, do hereby proclaim October 22nd through 26, 2018 to be School Bus Safety Week.
Thank you so very much. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. For the next two, we'll go down because we have the recognition of School Bus Driver of the Year, and then we also have recognition of other school bus drivers.
I missed that. I just wanted to make one comment, and I appreciate every single bus driver because we all know that this is your classroom, and when you transport children in a very hectic and environmentally friendly situation, my hat's off to every single bus driver in the district. So there.
Thanks for saying that. Board members, as mentioned, our next recognition is the School Bus Driver of the Year. So I will not state her name, even though it's in the agenda item, but I'll call upon Mr. Rick McBride to present to our school board and to the general public the School Bus Driver of the Year.
Good morning again. During School Bus Safety Week, we also recognize what we have as our Transportation Driver of the Year. And this is from a program that started back in the 2015-2016 school year, where we recognize a driver from each compound as a compound driver of the month. And from that, those 6 compounds, we select a driver of the month for the department. And those drivers who get that recognition for the driver of the month for the department level are also in the running for the being selected as driver of the year as far as that goes for the department. This year, the theme for the Bus Safety Driver Safety Week is my driver, my safety hero. And this person that did get the award for the Driver of the Year, she's definitely my safety hero. She's received a lot of letters and letters of appreciation from not only staff, but parents and students that exemplify her as being patient, kind, and considerate as far as a driver goes. And also she's done several things where at the end of the year she sent letters out to each one of our bus riders and thanking them for the year, and also telling them to have a wonderful summer. And she went above and beyond, because one of her students actually had open heart surgery, and she went and visited a student out of her own time in the hospital to make sure that she was being taken care of, and also to know that she's loved and cared for as a student. So I would like to recognize Kimberly Johnson as our Driver of the Year for the Transportation Department.
Mr. McBride, do you want to get in the picture? Go ahead. You what? It's a big day. Well, congratulations. Yeah. Yeah, it seemed like the Pastor Landon had the order of events today when he said that we talked about the people who woke up the earliest, the bus drivers and food lunchroom service workers, our food and nutrition, our teachers, our administrators. So I'm going to think he took a look at these special presentations or not, but he really hit it on the head. We want to thank each and every one as you represent so many of our valuable employees throughout our district. Our last presentation, though, is recognizing bus drivers once again, but now for their safe driving record. And we are recognized in our district for having such a safe driving record. And that doesn't come without, I don't want to say without accident, that comes due to the training that your department has for our drivers. And so thank you so much for what you're doing.
And once again, I come before you. And this is always a pleasure every year, is to recognize those drivers who have 10 or more years of safe driving with this school district. And I also want to bring up, seems like always follow lunchrooms week every year, and they always bring you box lunches. Well, I brought you your very own school bus this year, so you can take that with you. And also, there's a nice little phone number on the top of it and everything. So if you know any prospective bus drivers, you can give them that, and they can give us a call. But this year we had 72 drivers that had 10 years or more of safe driving. Wow. Out of that, we've had 27 that have 15 or more years of safe driving. And today we have 10 of those 27 here. And I want to be able to recognize them and call them up front to accept their plaque, but also to let you know that on October 26th, we are going to honor all 72 drivers for a special luncheon, and each and every one of you are invited to attend that. It's a great time for celebration, and the drivers really enjoy that. So as I call each driver out, I'd like for them to come forward and meet the board members and also receive their certificate. The first one is Charles Russell. He has 27 years with the district and 25 years of safe driving. Okay. And if you could stay up there after you come through, because we have to take some pictures.
Go ahead.
Okay, Lisa Yeomans, and this is quite a chore here, where she has 19 years with the district and 19 years of safe driving. Another one with a perfect record, Valita Jackson, with 18 years with the district and 18 years of safe driving. LaShane Simmons, she has 19 years with the district and 18 years of safe driving. And as you can see, most of these drivers are repeat here every year, which is good. Carolyn Rogers, 18 years with the district and 17 years of safe driving. Janie Dutcher with a perfect record, 15 years and 15 years of safe driving. Marcia Mills Wilson, 17 years of the district and 15 years of safe driving. Mary Nelson has 19 years with the district and 15 years of safe driving. And Nancy Osika with 15 years and 15 years of safe driving. And our last one, we call him the old man of the department because he's our most senior driver. And apparently for the last 15 years, he decided that he would straighten up and drive straight. But he has 35 years of with the district and 15 years of safe driving. Rufus Woodley. Yeah, our management staff with us here as our compound managers, our area managers. I have Felicia Salters, who is in the Central County area. Tammy Hartman, North County. And our newest area manager, Kelvin Clark, South County. Then I have Cammie Weeks here. She's actually standing. Susan Lewis, who also helped with Cammie put this together. And our assistant director, who everybody probably knows is T-Mark Haywood.
Congratulations. That concludes our presentations, board members. Mr. McBride, thank you so much. Thank you. Ms. Geis, thank you.
Comments are usually made after we've done the presentation, so I'm not sure if any school board members have any comments that you'd like to make as it relates to the presentation for our school bus drivers.
I did have a comment.
You're gonna get those? Oh, okay.
I did have a comment, and I especially wanted to thank every little bus that we see driving around Pinellas County School. This little bus contains all our children. So I want to tip my hat to all the school bus drivers that make our buses safe and very comfortable for our children as they drive around the schools and deliver the schools and pick the children up and do all the field trips that the children always enjoy. So thanks very much for all the school bus drivers, because this is your classroom. And that was my second announcement.
Moving on to public comments on agenda items. Do you have any persons listed?
Board members and Dr. Grego, we have one speaker this morning for specific agenda items. Mark Clutho will speak to consent number 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 25, 26, and non-consent numbers 1 and 3.
This is absurd. Used to have 3 minutes for each consent agenda item. How are you supposed to cover all this in 3 minutes? 13, 14, 15. 16, 17. So here you go to the same ones, especially 13, 14. And what does it say? Strategic direction, effective and efficient use of resources. Not, no. So what do you have down here, 25 and 26? More of your stupid, stinking, dumb buildings. Oh, yeah. So where does that give it? What does that give us? Your headlines today. By 2040, the planet will be a living hell. You all read the report from the UN climate panel yesterday, didn't you? Yeah. Well, that's what happens when you keep doing what you're doing, ignoring science, and going to these worthless architects that you have been using over and over and over again. And you see Hurricane Michael out there. They're describing it as a monster. Yeah, and one of them's going to get you. See, all the schools should be passive solar high-performance buildings that can stand up to the Hurricane 5. But you don't want to embrace the science. So these here, under non-consent, holy cow, religious expression, that's good in public schools. Not, and strategic direction, learning in a safe environment. How do you figure? And then this American flag, you're going to put in God we trust. Oh, yeah. Which God is that? And that's also learning in a safe environment. How do you figure?
Thank you. Any unfinished business? Moving on to consent agenda.
Move approval.
Do I have a second?
Well, I did have a comment.
Please push your light. Do you have a comment on one of the agenda items, or are you asking to pull an agenda item?
Well, on the out-of-field teachers that we've got over 200.
You need to pull the item. If you want to discuss the consent agenda item, the protocol is that you pull the item. Say what item number you'd like to pull. We will pull item number 2 from the consent agenda, and we will speak on that item after we take a vote on the balance of the consent agenda. All those in favor of the consent agenda, with the exception of item number 2, that we'll discuss after the up or down vote on the consent agenda. May I have a motion, please?
Of the amended agenda.
Yes. May I have a motion, please? Is there a second? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? We'll now go ahead and have consent agenda item number 2. Ms. Lentino?
I did have a comment.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, now Ms. Lentino.
It's on page 37.
Item number 2 are request approval for the personnel recommendations.
Right. On these recommendations, I noticed that there were a lot of annual contracts, a lot of transfers, terminations, leaves of absences, also contracted employees. And then in the back, I'm sure I have the correct number, we have some teachers that are teaching out of field. I'm a little concerned about this, and maybe Ms. Texel can address that comment. We have over 250 combining out of field in elementary and out of field in ESOL. When those tests from the State Department of Education come down, that those teachers have not really, we don't know what the results of those tests are.
Dr. Grego, would you like to go ahead and call your staff to speak on this issue? We did receive an email, but if you would like to call your staff to speak on this issue, Dr. Grego, please feel free to do so.
Go ahead, finish your question.
I was concerned that over 250 teachers, we don't know what the results of those tests would be, pending on the Department of Education results. We know the tests have been coming harder. The general knowledge tests have been becoming a little more difficult for teachers to pass, and a lot of them feel hesitant about paying up for another test when they have failed maybe the first test. So in this situation, I'm kind of concerned about what would that do to the classroom environment when those teachers that don't want to test again and keep their out of field requirement to stay in the school. I'm a little concerned about losing so many teachers at one fell swoop if many of them have not passed those certification tests. Or one test, right? Isn't it the general knowledge test?
Dr. Greco, can you disseminate between teaching out of field versus someone who's not passed the specific portions of the teacher certification test based on general knowledge and specific subject? And then if you want to direct your staff to speak, please.
I will try to do the best I can, and then I know Ms. Texel sent out a notification just for clarity to the board. Most of the, if not the out of fields that are listed on this book, is because not that they're not certified as teachers, but rather they need to complete an ESOL certification, an add-on certification. So I want the board and the general public to understand that our teachers are fully certified. There's also another issue of when a teacher is unable to, or a proposed or prospective teacher is unable to complete the state exam. Their certification doesn't reach them, so that's a different case. These are folks that either it might be through the gifted endorsement, they're teaching gifted students and they're in the process of obtaining their gifted endorsement, and so they're fully certified as teachers, but they don't have that right credential, or they're in the middle, or they've taken their ESOL training and they've taken their assessments, they're waiting. So it's that crossover. The State Department, and we've talked about this to the commissioner, has been a little bit slow in terms of the backlog with some of their certifications, their endorsements, I'll call it. And I think sometimes therein lies the confusion. We use the word certification and endorsement sometimes we synonymously, and they're different. So teachers fully certified, they need further endorsement. State requires us to notify parents in the community when someone's not fully endorsed also. So that's why the explanation. Ms. Texel, if you want to add anything to that, or if
I was involved in a similar situation when they were waiting for, the ESOL, the ESOL I think I got when I was in the impact program, that was included. But I was waiting for an endorsement because for some reason I was teaching out of field, and I don't know what grade this was. It was first grade, I would assume. But I had my certification, but I had to send a letter home to the parents to say that I was teaching out of field for whatever reason I can't recall right now. So I understood that, but my question was, ESOL was separated, and I understand that all those teachers are certified, but they're teaching out of their field. And then there's 47 in elementary school out of that 139 teachers that are in that first group. So, where do we fall, and how strong is our teaching staff going to be when those tests come back? Or when those certification, but when their tests come back?
Paula, before you speak, Peggy OShea, School Board Member Peggy OShea wants to say something, and then Peggy.
Yeah, am I correct that when this list comes out when we get this frequently, this is not new. Let's say a teacher is teaching whatever they're teaching, and an ESOL student is placed in their classroom that makes them out of field, okay? And don't they have a year in which to comply with the endorsement needed?
They have 3 years.
And so, for 3 years, so these people are in that process, right? They're not necessarily past the 3 years.
So I think, let me kind of take this and kind of put it in perspective here, because there's a lot of different questions and situations. And I will tell you, every single employee that walks through our door and applies for a job comes with different previous experience, previous education pathway, how they are coming to teaching. And so each person really is unique. It is no longer we are getting a student necessarily out of a 4-year college that has all of and they have their internships and they're ready to go. We have teachers coming in from all different avenues, following various requirements of our state. And so you mentioned a lot. I will tell you the ESOL is one thing, it is carved out. Our teachers who come in without that endorsement from their university setting have 3 years to obtain that ESOL endorsement. So that is why you will see them. You'll see names multiple times because they do have that 3-year requirement to satisfy. Even when you have a child come in, you do have 3 years. We do not expect that to be done in one month and be done. So that's why the ESOL will come, and they will come at various stages throughout the year. This book is a little bit more involved because it's kind of getting everybody in that has come in over the summer, and so this is why it's our largest. In regards to the out-of-field for the certification for the subject areas, you will see all, like Dr. Grego had mentioned, when a teacher has their full certification and then they want to move into the gifted, that's is one which seems to be a lot. They have a certain amount of time. Everybody has a time that they have. Sometimes it's a year, sometimes it's 3 years. It is whatever that specific requirement is. So that is one area. You mentioned also the teachers who are here with elementary. They have everything that they were required to have, and we have submitted their names to the state. As we have mentioned, and as I shared in the email, there is just a system backlog right now, and I actually have an update for you. We sent sheets and sheets of names last week. I will tell you the majority of them have been reviewed already, and we have already been able to take them off of the out-of-field list. So it is a daily check-in that my certification team does to make sure that those are being reviewed. So, but we're required to bring that to your attention, and so that's why they are in the book right now. You mentioned also the GK, and we are also very aware of the concerns regarding the GK test and the teachers who might not be passing one or two areas. We have a whole slate of support that we provide to those teachers. Teachers have 1 year to get that in. So even if they might be in here as out of field, they have 1 year to get that. And so we have those lists. I have those teachers in a spreadsheet. My team is working with them to be able to provide any different avenues. And there is online, there's face-to-face, there's multiple ways that we can try to support them. The teachers at their school, their coworkers at their school are supporting them. So that's our job to help them get that and to be able to be in field and fully certified in what they're doing. So I hope that kind of answers a little bit, but if not, I can.
Yeah, thanks for clarifying that. But when you mentioned on the ESOL, they have 3 years to complete that. When I was, rules have changed, so I'm not even going to talk about when I was teaching in the classroom, but that seems to be a long time for a teacher to be certified in the ESOL program.
So the requirement is 300 hours for ESOL certification,
Right.
And that is that can be lengthy and time consuming. There are other different avenues. You can go ahead and take a college course and not take the 300 hours, and it can be pared down.
Right.
There's so many different avenues, and like I said, that's why it's not one
Right.
fits all. And so we do allow them 3 years because of the coursework. Again, teachers are teaching. That's their job. They're teaching during the day.
Right.
We need to give them the amount of time that they need to make
Right.
sure that they get that certification.
And I understand that all teachers need the ESOL certification now. I was under the impression.
And we are, as they come on board, they are needing that ESOL certification. Other
Right.
districts require that before they're even hired. We allow them to come on
Right.
and get that within a certain amount of years.
Okay, thanks, Paula.
Okay.
If I could add, many of the universities now, before the students
have it.
graduate, they're completing their ESOL endorsements
Yeah, I
as
had
part of their 4-year degree, and that's taken place
So
several years ago.
the college is right. That's part of their degree.
Right.
It's our teachers who are coming from a different avenue, from career
Right.
and second career, that we need to provide that for them.
To add, I could also be wrong on this, but the 300 hours are for certain people who are teaching the English language arts. There are other teachers who are elective teachers, depending upon the level.
Thank you.
That number could go as far down as 18 hours.
Yes.
So to add to the mix that Human Resources Department has, it depends on what you teach, that would also
that was in the
dictate the
email.
number of hours.
Okay, all right, thank you.
From 18 to 300. I think.
Exactly. Thank you. Yes.
You're
Okay,
welcome.
thanks.
The second on the floor for the consent agenda, item number 2. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Are there any opposed? Moving on to our non-consent agenda, setting a public hearing and authorizing the advertisement of such. Dr. Grego?
Yes, Madam Chair, this is our first reading, and I'd like to ask our Board Attorney, David Kapersky, to just review this. This is a policy that was reviewed during our last school board workshop.
Madam Chair, board members, this is a policy that's coming to you as first reading. The genesis of this recommendation comes from a 2017 law that was passed by the Florida legislature. That law required the DOE to develop a model policy relating to religious freedom and expression in public schools. And so they finally created that policy at the DOE level. They distributed those to schools, and right now throughout the state, school boards are in the process of adopting this because it is required by law. As I mentioned to you in the workshop, it does cover several different areas relating to religious freedom, as guaranteed by the First Amendment to the United States Constitution, as well as some state laws. There is nothing in here that we cannot accommodate, and in fact, most of what is in here is in our current practice. And of course, religious expression and religious affiliation has always been protected by the school board's anti-discrimination laws. Thank you.
I have lights. Ms. Krasner? That's an O light. Ms. Lentino? Okay, I'll clear them out. Do we have a motion with a second on the? Is there a second? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Introduce your item.
Yes, Madam Chair and School Board, I'm going to ask Jennifer Dullo, Director of Strategic Planning and Policy, to just review this. This, again, is our first reading, and all of the remaining of these policies that you'll be hearing about, I want to thank Ms. Dull and others. We have reviewed for the general public. We reviewed each and every one of them during our last workshop, but I do want to ask Ms. Dull to just review a kind of executive summary on these policies. So, Jennifer?
Perfect. Good morning. The first set of policies that come before you today to set a public hearing is on policy 7540.03, Network and Internet Acceptable Use Agreement, and policy 7540.04, Use of Electronic Resources. The majority of the updates to these two policies have to do with acceptable use. One notable one to bring forward is that if anyone comes onto our network with their personal devices, whether it be a visitor, parent, student, staff member, that they automatically affirmatively sign on that they will adhere to our acceptable use policies. So that's one of the bigger ones between the two of them. Some of the other updates to it are clarifying language, updates to TIS and their name and clarification. But those two for setting a public hearing for the first agenda item on this.
Thank you. Any questions? Mr. Lechner is also behind Ms. Dahl. Also, as you see
Any
him over there.
questions?
So, any questions?
Ms. Lentino?
I have a question. When a parent comes to the school, then how do we signify that they are in agreement with this policy? I mean, how does that happen?
Any visitor, be it a parent or a vendor, they go onto our guest network. It's a separate network. And it's our job to communicate that. So
Okay.
we'll do that through strategic communications as well as through the schools.
So you ask the parent or the guardian or somebody that's coming to the school if they have access on the alternative site?
They have access to our guest network, yes.
Right.
So it's a separate network.
Okay.
But we communicate to all staff, community, what our policies are when you come onto our campuses and use our network.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Is it that little box that they have to check, correct? The I agree to the terms and conditions, they check the little box and then they...
Yeah, it's
Come
also
on.
part of the student code of conduct, yes.
Okay.
It's a number of places.
Okay. We took that vote very quickly after the first and the second, and we really needed to take that vote after the presentation of the item. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. Setting of a public hearing related to the American flag. I believe this is the first reading.
It is. Ms. Dahl?
So this is the first reading. This was also brought to you in workshop last month. This policy actually comes forth out of legislature for the past session in House Bill 7055. What we're asking in this policy is to rename from the American flag to patriotic displays, as through House Bill 7055, there was an added requirement to have the words "In God We Trust" on every building throughout the school district. Pinellas County Schools, to implement this, has put the state seal on the front of all buildings. But this is, again, out of legislature in House Bill 7055.
Thank you. Thank you.
Move approval.
Is there a second? Second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Setting a public hearing and authorizing the advertisement for student supervision and welfare. Do we have a motion with a second? Dr. Grego?
Yes, there's a number of policies. This is, again, is the first reading, and Ms. Dahl will present it, and Mr. Herbeck is also here for any answers to any questions.
This one is a number of policies having to do with the safety and security of schools. Most of these come out of the 2018 legislative session regarding statute 1006.07, inclusive of the Marjorie Stoneman Douglas Safety Act. So the majority of are codifying the practices we have put in place from that act.
Any questions?
Well, I have a question.
Ms. Lentino?
I think further down on this student supervision and welfare, 8405, in my notes that I was reading, who will be responsible for collecting the data? There was an underline in the document that I was reading, but we have no idea that who is going to be responsible for collecting the data within the school or the schools. And that's on line 7981, I believe. And that's page 343. Yeah.
I'm sorry, what policy?
Oh,
Is there
yeah,
specific-
79, it's on page 343. I just wanted to clarify what schools those would be, or what district staff each year. Is that a rotating thing? I'm going to read it to you. Threat assessment administrative procedures shall be reviewed and updated by district staff each year in accordance with the law. Okay, so there's the law. Each threat assessment team shall report quantitative data on its activities to the Office of Safe Schools in accordance with guidance from that office.
Right, so
So we have some clarification on that?
Office of Safe Schools.
To start off with, we have not received any guidance from the Office of Safe Schools yet.
Okay.
But our prevention office will be assembling that data at that time and sending that in conjunction with schools police, because I know some of the threat assessment teams will be involving those activities as well. And one of the requirements of the law is that law enforcement be a part of every threat assessment team. So I know that Chief Williams and the Sheriff's Department and the other chiefs through the Police Standards Council have worked out data sharing on these threat assessments and what that process will look like for them. We will then in turn send that to the prevention office, and then as soon as we get guidance from the state, we'll assemble it and send it to them in whatever manner that they request.
Okay, so the guidelines for submitting those reports haven't been solidified, right? at
Not
this
to my
moment?
knowledge. I have
Okay.
not seen them.
All right, thanks
I
for
think
that.
for the board's knowledge, the Office of Safe Schools is a new bureau, a new department that the state created, and so those are directions. That Office of Safe Schools is not ours.
Okay.
But rather, it would be Chief Williams along with Mr. Russo that will be gathering our information and being
They
in
drive
touch with
that?
them. Yes, yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
Okay, thank you. And then there was 8410 policy, and that's a number of schools, which is on page, where am I? Bear with me.
Page 346.
The crisis, on 9, I think it's 9 to 12. On 9
346.
346. The crisis response actions on the part of student services staff may be limited to one school or may include a number of schools, requiring a more comprehensive crisis response strategy coordinated by the district. At the school level, the school-based student services staff coordinates the responses with the principal. So is that an internal, another internal report that they're going to be collecting data on?
In this case, this is actually not referring to a report. This is referring to the manner in which we respond to incidents in which students or staff may need guidance and counseling services.
Okay.
And so if it is a school level, I know Donna Sicilian and her team and the school principal will talk. They'll decide whether or not the incident at the school can be handled at the school or whether Donna's team needs to come in and assist students. If we have an incident in a community that involves several schools,
Okay.
then that response would be kind of measured and determined again by principals and Donna and her team
Okay.
as to how she's going to deploy her team and how we're
Right.
going to get counseling services to those people who need it.
Okay, so that's through Donna's department, and then the other one.
And working with school principals as well,
Okay.
yes.
All right, thank you for that.
To the board members, if you remember, during the workshop, we discussed, and I want to take the opportunity to thank Donna Sicilian and Ms. Matway and for really bringing forward a restructuring of that department
Right.
and the services. So we upped the services, streamlined many of the services so they're reflecting the needs of the principals. And this is reflective of these policies after that restructuring. So
Right.
that was a good point to
Okay.
discuss. Thanks.
Thank you,
Mhm.
thank you.
We have a motion with a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Moving on to setting a public hearing and authorizing the advertisement for consideration of our curriculum and promotion, retention, and acceleration. Is there a motion with a second? Dr. Grego?
Yes, school board members, this is commonly known as the pupil progression plan as we start off and work this school year. So I know Mr. Henrik and his staff had a tremendous amount to do with this, and this was also discussed at the workshop. Ms. Dahl?
Yep, so this year in the student progression plan, we bring forward 3 policies for updates. Included in there are the middle school curriculum promotion, retention, and acceleration to the core program. Updating some of it is terminology from integrated to physical science honors, and some statutes that have been updated regarding requirements for assessment and level 1 and level 2 students. The class rank is updated regarding the language for valedictorian and salutatorian identification, and graduation requirements. As you may recall, when the state board meeting was here, they updated their concordance scores. So this policy on that for graduation requirements reflects what that school board vote was, or at the state level.
Right.
Thank
Any
you.
questions?
Nope. We have a motion with a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? Okay,
Thank you, Ms. Dawn.
thank you. Moving on with items introduced by the superintendent.
Yes, school board members, I thought in particular the opening video was very impactful to me in terms of start with hello. And even though that was at Frontier Elementary School, I want to express to you that that was representative, and I see over the marquees, start with hello. We're building a culture in our district that it isn't all about threat assessments, but it's about how we care and care for each other. And I also want to say to Megan Reeves, I thought she wrote a wonderful article about this initiative in our school district that was put on into the Times, and I got a lot of compliments in terms of just the coverage of that. So thank you, Megan, for that work. A couple of good news, and I know you're anticipating me to, I will say something about Hurricane Michael. It's a good name, but it's not a good hurricane. But let me cover a couple of items first, because I am so proud. I will provide the detail of this, but Tarpon Springs Fundamental Elementary School has been named one of our the nation's blue ribbon schools by the United States Department of Education, and Elaine Miles, Dr. Miles, will be joining us in Washington, D.C., along with the current principal, Holly Oakes, along with some teachers and so forth. I'm going to do everything I can to join them. This is one of the highest honors to be recognized, one of only 12 schools in the state of Florida. And so I'm very proud of their staff, tremendous amount of work that's taken place over the last few years at Tarpon Springs Fundamental School. The ESC College and Career Fair, October 10th. This is where the district holds a fair very similar to our college fair that we held at Countryside High School for all students. But this one on the 10th is specific to students with disabilities, and some of the vendors that will be there will really do a great job. Our parents love this type of event, and I certainly continue to encourage the board where your schedules permit to visit, and that's at Pinellas Park High School, October 10th. And then the other is this weekend we have 2 major events. One is the Senior and Plus Parents Elevating Excellence. I'm going to continue to bring on the next steps of elevating excellence, and always continue to thank our foundation for their support of this, and Mr. Hendrick and all of teaching and learning. But it'll be held at Boca Ciega High School. And this is specific to our seniors this year, and along with their parents. And so again, we're trying to connect with students and parents together. Also on this Saturday is our district-wide family resource. Thank you to Dr. Valerie Brim. It will be held from 9 to 11:30 this Saturday, Thurgood Marshall Fundamental School. And so this fair is open to parents of all kinds, and certainly 40 agencies participating: Juvenile Welfare Board, Sanderlin Neighborhood Center, Personal Enrichment, Mental Health Services, Boys and Girls Club. A lot of different agencies will be there to assist the families. And so we welcome our families this weekend, this Saturday, to attend both of those as they see fit. I do want to ask Mr. Herbick and to just bring the board up to date. We are tracking and working with our local EOC on Hurricane Michael, and right now the good news is that hurricane is far out west and is heading northwest, and we continue and hope that it continues in the westward manner so that it avoids us totally, but we are evaluating that. So I'm talking and communicating with each of the local superintendents I think there's a call later on today at 1 o'clock, so Mr. Urbick, if you want to give the board an update.
Yes, thank you, Dr. Grego, and board members. Anytime we're threatened with tropical storms or hurricanes, we do work closely with emergency management, and it's through they call it a ROC call. It's a Response Operations Coordinations Group, and it includes police, fire, EMTs from every single municipality. So we're always a part of that call, and we get the information that we know how the other municipalities are responding to the storm as well. In this case, we finished a rock call this morning, a 9 a.m. rock call this morning, and it kind of appeared that as of right now, the impacts to Pinellas will be felt later tonight and into tomorrow. So what we're going to do right now is we're going to have a call with emergency management and the National Weather Service at 1 p.m. We'll be able to ask some very specific questions about what tomorrow will look like, with specifics toward tomorrow morning, to get a real clear understanding of what the weather will be like for our kids tomorrow morning. In addition to that, we're also kind of waiting right now. Emergency management is meeting with the county commission right now on whether or not a local state of emergency will be declared. And we'll, as soon as we get the information on how that develops, that will go into our decision on what we're going to do tomorrow as well. So with those two pieces of information, I guess three, from emergency management, from the National Weather Service, and then from the County Commission, we'll put together our response, and we expect to be able to make a call later on this afternoon after that 1 p.m. Call with the National Weather Service.
Good.
Any questions? And thank you for your patience. Feel free to call at any time, but that's kind of our schedule.
All right. Items introduced by the school board attorney.
No issues today. Thank you, ma'am.
Okay. Items introduced by individual board members, Ms. Lentino and then Ms. Long.
Yes. Whoops. Okay. I attended the COQUEBS meeting, and we were still having a really deep discussion about closing the achievement gap and the remainder of our schools that are in the county. I also attended the Courageous Conversations, and that was presented by Healthy St. Petersburg. It was a 2-day event. The facilitator was Cortland Butts, and he gave a very compelling presentation dealing with racism within our county. And he used some very interesting concepts in his presentation, and I sat with several members of the Pinellas County Schools, and it was very interesting to listen to all their comments on the activity. I was at Happy Workers on Friday. I was there 2 hours, and next week I'm going to be there for lunch as well. We have a lot of work to do in the Happy Workers group that are going to kindergarten next year. And I was very successful with one child while he was adding up his numbers with these little dots of these little buttons. And he was very successful in learning how to count from left to right. So I was very pleased with that. On Saturday, I actually attended the Gulf Beaches Elementary School. And we had a great fish broil. I got a nice little Frisbee, if anybody wants it. Not really, but and a t-shirt. So that was a lot of fun. The fish was great. We didn't have any red tide results from having a big fish broil there. And there also were hot dogs and lots of other foods that they were offering. Principal Kaylock got dunked numerous times in the dunk tank, and by the time I went over to see him, he was dripping wet, and there was a lot of blow-up, big sectional toys that kids can go jump in and do these, these
bounce house.
Bounce houses and all these other camouflage decorated big displays. So that was a lot of fun. And I'm also going to be attending the open house tonight, later on at the Intercultural Advocacy Institute, the Hispanic Outreach Center. And I was always very pleased to be listening to our superintendent, Dr. Grego, at the Clearwater Technical Institute, Technical College. Is that what we're calling it now? It was a real thorough explanation of where we are, where we're going, and he also made a very kind comment about the great chocolate cake that he saw on his plate that everybody had at the end of the meal. And the food was great, the presentations were great, and I had a very interesting conversation at our table, and I was very glad to be there. So we also had another a tour of the building, and it was very interesting to get into the automotive shop. Lots of cars in there, lots of Hondas, and it was very worthwhile for me to be participating in the community. So it's a privilege to serve, and I thank you very much.
Ms. Long?
Yes, I just wanted to say that last Tuesday at Palm Harbor University High School was the first support system we put in for the IB students. Remember, we voted on that? It is an incredible project with USF. You know, these high academic performing students, I never realized the amount of stress. Well, I did, but I try to block it out at home. But to have a support system in place, USF, Dr. Rush, and 2 other students at USF were there. It was incredible for the students. You saw aha moments with the kids and for the parents. And I hope, my daughter's a senior, so it's not going to benefit us, but the younger students, we're setting a great, solid foundation for them to teach them how to handle these high academic rigor. But it was amazing, and it was really interesting to see where we've gone and what a great job this is. So kudos to
Ms. Lerner?
Ms. Latino, thanks for the questions about the safety policy. It just brought out a little of the detail and the very good, focused, specific answers. And just to say, as a board, we have had long workshops and lots of materials and information and PowerPoints. And I just want to compliment Mr. Herbeck, Chief Williams, Lori Matway, Donna Sicilian, everybody, the whole team, because it has many different parts. And many of the things we were already doing, but it really has been brought together so well. So thank you for showing some of the specifics. I went to a wonderful concert at Mahaffey, our partnership with the orchestra. I think there were 3 concerts. I went to one, and Mahaffey was completely filled, including the whole balcony. And I'm always amazed by the wonderful concert, and it was on Heroes. And the music was just great. There were over 1,600 students. I looked around. They were so behaved and intent on listening, and when they were dismissed, they were behaved, but you saw they are still 4th and 5th graders. They were still good, but it's amazing how they get 1,600 students and chaperones in for the 10:30 concert, I think it is, and then they leave, and within a half hour, the next group, for any of you, it's a logistic, it's wonderful. And also, there is a lesson plan book that's developed by the educators in Pasco, Hillsborough, and Pinellas, and it's wonderful, great lesson plans that the students have before the concert. There was a couple of other things. Yeah, Superintendent's Roundtable was great. Thank you, and the board did receive the PowerPoint in the update, Friday update, and the Friday update is really good. And I said to Dr. Grego, maybe having some of that shared with the administrators and other principals, things that are in that Friday update, because I think it really is very good. So thank you, our new strategic communications person who listened to Beth Herdine. Hope I'm pronouncing that right. Okay. I do know your name. We met. That it really is very focused and has really good information that I think can go beyond the board members. The lunch looks great. And I'm so happy with the new name of Food and Nutrition. And I think what was highlighted today are bus drivers and food and nutrition, but all our support staff, they are part of our family in the schools, in the district. They are all educators. When I speak, they're all educators. And plant operators, that was mentioned, talking about the wonderful expansion of the gardens and all the extra work they do. I'm not really suggesting this has to be done, but they are more than plant operators. And maybe we need to look at a better name, because when I go to schools, they're doing all kinds of things. They have, all our support staff, but they're out and about. They know the students, they have relationships with the students. Just something to think about. Maybe we could have a better name for that, okay? That's it.
Some recognition.
Recognition, right. That would be great.
Thank you.
I want to just briefly talk about the Greater Florida Consortium meeting that I went to representing the district. It was a very good meeting. Representatives from all over the state were at that meeting, and we talked about putting forth the legislative platform, and much of the platform falls right in line with the Superintendents Association as well as the Florida School Board Association. I received an email, and I'm not sure if you all got it as well, but okay, so everyone received that. What I would like for us to do is talk about it at the workshop so we can determine, how we want to support, because we need to give them a decision. So I'd like for that to be at our next workshop. In the interim, if individuals could please peruse those documents, the minutes that show the real discussion behind it, as well as the final outline points for the legislative agenda for them. I think Mr. Wolf probably already left the building or left our place, but I just wanted to say kudos to our school district for presenting information we needed to present as it relates to the New Point Charter finalization of that hearing. I know that the actual sentencing has not occurred, but the gentleman was found guilty. And if you all recall, that was one of the charter schools that were not being good stewards of taxpayer dollars and making sure that students were receiving what they needed to. And while we don't, relish in being excited about things of this nature, what I am glad about is that those students are now where they should be, in an environment where they can actually learn and not have to worry about finances being taken away from the school. So I'm thankful for staff in providing the information they needed to in that vein. The other is we've made it through a lot of homecomings. Seems like every high school had their homecoming with very few incidents, so I'm excited about that. I know at one of our previous meetings, I just really pleaded, and some other adults have been doing it throughout the community, asking students to please be safe and be cautious. So I am excited about that. And you guys, the school year is almost over. I mean, a few months, we'll be into the first of a new year. And we'll be looking at graduations and things of that nature. I know, but it's coming. It's coming. I said that to say this. I am appreciative of everybody just trying to keep the students hunkered down and focused, because we want to see them not wait until the last minute to try to figure out how they're going to get those credits. Miss Vasquez, she does a wonderful job in working with the students, but really just trying to keep them focused throughout the year. I will tell you that Lakewood Elementary School, with the new principal there, they're doing some fabulous things. The energy at the elementary school is through the roof, and I look forward to seeing their numbers move and improve. We're seeing some fantastic things continue to go on at Melrose Elementary School. I'm excited about that. So just keep the momentum going and keep the energy going. And for those of us, all of us go visit schools, all of us attend events at the different schools, all of us support, different outside community groups. Just continue to keep that up because it is proving to be successful for our community. And thank you again for all of the teachers for lending your areas of expertise, for mentoring, but also for hanging in there because you're just fabulous at what you do, and we so appreciate you in that. And I do want to give a special shout out to Miss Nikita Reed. We had some teachers who did not fare well on the statewide teacher certification test. I still have issues with that because if you've gone to school for 4 years and you've managed to pass all of those tests and exams and do your internships and all of that, you got to know something about what you're doing. But she's really worked hard to partner some of those individuals who weren't successful. She's worked hard to partner them with someone as well as to have them a mentor so that they can get some support in the areas where they didn't fare well and then be prepared, more than prepared, to take the test the next time. So I just want to give a super shout out to that because that's thinking outside of the box. That's just not telling someone, you go figure it out and pass the test. That's actually giving them the tools, just like we say we want to give our students the tools. That's giving our teachers and stuff the tools. So I just wanted to throw that out there. And that is all that I have. I'm still excited about the ability to be here and serve, and we will just keep moving forward. May we have any review of board requests?
Yes, Madam Chair, I had 2 board requests. The first is we will think about a different job title for our plant operators that more suits their job description. And the second is we will include the legislative priorities for the consortium at the next workshop.
Exactly. Thank you so much. And Linda, I heard a couple of names while you were saying it, so I'm going to ask them if they could maybe write those down. I heard a couple of names as they were like thinking out loud, so they already have you. They already got you on point, yeah. Thank you for that review of board request. I will say before we adjourn the meeting and then have our comments from the audience, and then of course our evaluation, we do have an executive session immediately following, and we will just meet in that side room. That's more efficient for us to do so. Okay? All right. So I will go ahead and close the meeting. And now, Ms. Ann?
Board members and Dr. Grego, we have 3 speakers this morning under general public comments. Our first 2 are Michelle Minnis and Fred Cutting.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Madam Chair, board members, Dr. Grego, and staff. My name is Michelle Menace, and I want to thank you for this opportunity and for your time. I am a student in the Bachelor of Science program of Public Policy and Administration at St. Petersburg College. I am currently completing my capstone project, which is a feasibility study in investigating the implementation of a Law and Public Policy and Administration Academy in Seminole High School. I am here today to present my findings, benefits, and propose the implementation of this new academy based on the supporting evidence. Unfortunately, my law partner was unable to attend today's meeting, but any questions you may have, I will gladly pass on and ensure that they get answered. Pinellas County currently offers 70 magnet career programs. These programs are suited to students' interests and range from aquatic environmental management to veterinarian science, with many in between. Although the county offers a broad range of programs, there is currently no secondary option for students interested in the varying and unlimited fields of law and public policy and administration. The proposed academy curriculum will focus on a comprehensive understanding of paralegal studies, politics, public policy, and administration, and the varying careers in these fields. The mission statement of the Academy is to offer an all-inclusive, relevant, skills and experience-based curriculum to engage, excite, and develop students interested in these public service-related fields. The vision is to produce top-choice, highly qualified civic leaders of tomorrow. This proposed academy is in alignment with the 5-year Pinellas Master Plan for Career Education's 2 main objectives for 2018, relating to secondary schools. By 2021-22, 75% of all Pinellas High School students will be enrolled in an academy. 50% of all Pinellas High School students will earn an industry certification prior to graduation. In addition, the 2018-19 target occupation list for Pinellas County has 11 careers highlighted as high-skilled, high-waged occupations with ranging educational requirements from certificates to bachelor's degrees that can all fall under the proposed career cluster. The skills, knowledge, and abilities provided to students will be easily transferable between sectors and relevant in these and many other occupations, either preparing them for entry into the workforce or furthering their education. A few examples are administrative service managers, compliance officers, paralegal and legal assistants, and public relations specialists. No. Can I finish?
I'm sorry. Do you have a copy that you can leave with us? How many sentences do you have?
No, just a few. Let me finish.
A few sentences?
This is for my project, for my school. Please let me finish.
A few sentences?
Yes, ma'am.
Well, we are educators, so I will allow you to finish.
I
I will
appreciate
ask my colleagues if we will allow you to finish, because we are educators, and so we.
I understand.
Yes, ma'am. It seems like the consensus is you can finish.
I appreciate you.
You're welcome.
Seminole High School's central location is ideal for the collaborative leadership efforts of both businesses and government organizations within the community, as it is surrounded by 24 municipalities and Pinellas County government, which employs 3,000 employees under their unified personnel system. The high school serves over 2,000 students, of which 22 are minorities and the second lowest in the district. According to the Florida Department of Education, Seminole High School's 2018 grade was a C. The benefits of implementing the proposed academy are increasing these two metrics, adding to the highly qualified candidates to the local workforce, all while furthering the goals of the academies of Pinellas Master Plan. In closing, students must be afforded every opportunity to learn the principles of leadership and endless opportunities these noble professions offer. This can be facilitated through the implementation of this academy and the collaborative efforts of the public organizations within the community. It is the responsibility of today's leaders to actively engage and participate in the development of tomorrow's.
Thank you. And Ms. Ann, it was 27 seconds, and so we will be fair across the board and do 27 seconds. And that way everyone coming after her will get an additional 27 seconds. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Is you hear me okay? Yes, sir. Thank you. My name is Fred Cutting. I have lived at 1801 Oak Forest Drive South in Clearwater for the last 46 years. This week, as a matter of fact, is the 46th anniversary. With my late wife, she was with me up till 5 years ago. But any case, 2 years later, I remarried, and my bride and I intend to stay there as long as we last, and we're in pretty good health, so I think we'll be around about 20 years. So I give you that little introduction because it's a rather mundane subject that I'm going to bring up, and I appreciate your assistance with it. I have a problem with weed control at the Paul B. Stevens School and my yard. I have 255 feet adjacent to the Paul B. Stevens School. The eastern fence from the southern tip northward, 250 feet. They do a fairly good job of taking care of the first 50 feet, and if any of you, I'm sure all of you have been out there, the service drive is in the last several months, maybe a year, they've done much better, and it's cared for well. But the other distance forward, and I think they have 400 feet, they are not, they get as close to the fence as they can with the lawnmower, but that winds up, and I'm sorry I don't know the name of the vine, but I'm sure we've all seen it. It's a cyclone fence, and I have about a third of the fence covered with this green vine, that has these, the fruit is like a small pumpkin about that big around, and it's not quite ripe yet. I cut with a weed eater. I cut with a weed eater on my side, and none of it's growing up from my side. The other side, they don't cut with a weed eater, and hence the vines are growing up. And then there's a retention pond there that you might be familiar with, and that's in a separate fence with a separate lock. There's a big oak, a beautiful oak, very healthy oak, within 5 feet of the fence, so they don't cut anything in that 5 feet. And I had, that's a description of the problem. I would like to meet with a school board member that represents my neighborhood, or a member at large, a board member at large. And I'm at the corner of Sunset Point Road and McMullen Booth. So maybe after this you can advise me who I should contact. Then I'd like to have a meeting with the maintenance manager and that school board member to walk that fence. And I'd like to have us come up with a permanent, regular solution of taking care of that problem. The oak tree I mentioned a moment ago, there are plants, it hasn't been serviced since 2016, and there's plants that are as big as my finger just growing up all around that tree. And that's the only tree of about a half a dozen within view of my yard that has anything growing up around it. The history is, in June of last year, I contacted this manager, property manager, and talked to his secretary a couple of times, sent an email. We had an email string back and forth. I requested a meeting, no response to that request for the meeting. That's why I'm here today. I would like to get rid of the vines. I get them cut with an edger along the fence line and get vines.
Sir, I did give you the additional 27 seconds. Dr. Grego wanted to say a few words in regards to how to work out your problem.
You know, first
Yes,
of all,
sir.
thank you very much for being here and for your
Thank you.
communications. And Mr. Herbeck was mentioning to me that he'd like to at least provide a response and perhaps meet with you out at the property and or have a maintenance worker.
That'd be great.
So, Mr. Herbeck?
No, definitely we can set up those meetings. And I do know that we had a team out there yesterday. And I don't know if they worked on the fence along your property, but
No,
I know
that's
that they were.
south fence they're working on.
Okay, so I don't know how far along they've gotten, but I did write down the retention pond and the vines, and so we'll make sure that those teams continue to work, and possibly before we get to your property, we can have that meeting and make sure that that we take care of that
All
for
right,
you.
so you're going to have a meeting with them and not with me? Is that the idea?
No, we'll set up a meeting with you. That's what I
Thank
meant.
you.
Yeah.
Well, either way, but I appreciate the latter.
The work will
Thank
get
you.
done. It'll get done. Thank you.
And I won't take my full 27 seconds. I just want to get the vines cut, and I want to get a procedure
Okay,
for
but
it.
you
It's
already
done
have, I
regularly.
already gave you your 3 minutes and 27 seconds.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Thank you, I'm sorry. Next speaker, please.
Our next speaker is Mr. Clutho.
Mark Luther Largo. That's a stink vine. Here's the Webster's Unabridged. You know, learners not qualified to debate me. Here's the Webster's Unabridged. Awesome comes from awe. And what awe here says is, it's from this word, to influence by fear or respect, as his awe in majesty awed them into silence. And then we go to awesome, inspiring awe, indicating awe. Yeah. I mean, I think I lived the first 50 years of my life without hearing anybody using this word awesome. It's ridiculous. You know, I mean, it's what I say, you know, it's part of that de-evolution process. Just read about how cognition de-evolution is happening because of everybody using these screens. Get 3 newspapers delivered a day. And here, the education matters. I wasn't at the meeting when you had your budget hearing because I was over at the Hillsborough schools, going an increase from 8.8 million to 315 million for construction and major equipment purchases. Well, as I said before, you know, why half a degree of warming is a big deal. And you people, you just keep pushing the limit. You know, Amory Lovins wrote in Fine Home Building back in 1991, if it's not efficient, it's not beautiful. But that year before last, you had, I guess it was the year before last, you had that at the budget hearing, those idiot, I guess maybe they were architects, standing under a glass roof. Now it shows how stupid you are that you would print something like that. And the carbon belches into the atmosphere. The planet's burning. And the Florences and the Michaels, oh, it's only just the beginning. It's your legacy.
Thank you. I'll leave
You're
you all with a
responsible.
positive thought for today. Think positive, because thoughts are like the steering wheel that moves our life in the right direction. Start where you are, use what you have, and do what you can. Thank you.